What's going on, you guys? So I wanted to do a video on Heart to Iron because the new expansion pack is going to come out, and they just released a developer diary, can't speak, on one of the most important facets of a Heart to Iron game, fuel. Yeah, fuel basically was the most important ingredient in Heart to Iron. Because if you can't fill your tanks up, you know you can't fill your tanks up, you can't fill your ships up with fuel, then it's your military machine's worthless. Obviously, like Battle of the Bulge and numerous um, eastern campaign offensives, the Operation Barbarossa and 42, 43, and 44 and such, all was a primary element. Fuel was a primary element, especially in the whole Stalingrad campaign and such. Anyway, going into this, Podcat posted this, super moderator, so I'm assuming he's one of the devs in charge of this. And let's just jump, and I'll put some of the screenshots up so you can follow along. This is gonna be a long one, just to give you a heads up. Hi everyone, we now have been working on Man in the Guns for a bit, and it's time to kick off dev diaries again. For those who missed it, Man in the Guns is the expansion we are currently working on. The main theme is naval warfare and it will be accompanied by the 1.6 Ironclad free update. There's no release date yet. We will let you know when we can commit to a date. So without further ado, rev up your engines. Today we're going to be talking about fuel. Fuel is something we have originally decided to abstract into the production of vehicles in Heart to Iron 4. The reasons for this were twofold. It simplified things, making the game easier to get into and learn, and it avoided issues of fuel stockpiling in Heart to Iron 3. I'll get to that later. I still think these were worthwhile trade-offs. Nope. What the gameplay impacts it had, but some areas, particularly naval warfare, never felt right without an overall worry over a supply for fuel, which essentially drove Japanese war planning historically. This, in combination with the feeling that our fans can sure handle a little nudge toward complexity, now kind of cemented the idea that we couldn't really make a naval expansion without expanding on this area. So I got like a screenshot here of Germany, and I'm looking at, all right, here it says fuel, current fuel 151,000, daily gain, base gain, army consumption, navy. Cool. Okay, awesome. This is really important. I don't understand why they cut this off from the game. And some of you guys might, think this is a good idea. I do not. Fuel is really important in World War II, especially. Like, that is the critical thing in World War II. Entire military campaigns were based around fuel. And just be like, yeah, we're gonna take it out because it's easier to play the game. It's like, well, then you're taking like a big part of the soul away, And I see fuel usage 4.4 for the Tiger 1 tank. This also drives like, what tank should I build, Well, the Tiger will take more fuel than the Panther, I'm thinking, right? I'm guessing. Anyway, air. Your active air wings will consume fuel. The amount will naturally depend on the type of plane. Strat bombers love to guzzle down that fuel, but also what mission type. Planes on interception will be very fuel efficient as they only take off when there are enemies attacking around ground targets or bombing. Transport planes on air supply missions will also be able to deliver fuel to pockets. When low on fuel, air wings will suffer big efficiency penalties. Awesome, that's cool. See, running a lot of active capital ships is something you want to be careful of with in Man the Guns. That's awesome. See, you got to think strategically. And this is something, again, that happened in the Eastern Front. They had to say, all right, we only have so much supply, so much fuel. We can't attack broadly against the whole front. So let's just focus on the South, And just take that out. Anyway. These behemoths will be going through your fuel stockpile like starved baby whales on the teats. To handle this and make fleet acts more realistically and in a more controlled manner, we have changed quite a bit here, so stay tuned for future diaries. The main point is that big fleets are costly to run, and you will need to make decisions on how to best utilize them and how much to fit into the rest of your fuel use. Speaking of, you'll be able to control who gets first dibs on fuel through prioritization, just like with equipment. But we are also working on adding extra consoles on top of this, so you can more easily balance between the different branches of armed forces. That's cool. I really love that. A fleet that is low on fuel will suffer penalties to its stats as well as operational range. That's awesome. Love that. Love that. Fuel is produced from unused oil, and equipment that used to use oil now no longer need to be produced. I'm currently looking into possibly adding copper or another resource in its place in some places, but we will see if that ends up being a good idea or not. We will let you know anyways. If you are low on fuel, there are several ways to go. Acquire more oil-rich states. Germany did that. Increase infrastructures on your oil-rich states. Trade for foreign oil. Build synthetic refineries. Lend lease fuel. Capture enemy stockpiles. Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome. Research improved oil to fuel conversion technologies. Each unit of oil, you will have access to your current tech to generate a certain amount of fuel. This fuel is then put into your stockpile for use by your forces. Okay, Luxembourg has capitulated, giving us access to 50% of their stockpile equipment. That is awesome. That's gonna change a lot of mechanics in this game, a lot of strategies in this game. Awesome. Love that. Love it, want more of it. All right. Stockpiling. Fuel is possible to stockpile, but in fact it is necessary if you can't guarantee a steady stream of produced fuel during wartime, so you can actually get ready for offensive. The size of your national stockpile will depend on the number of states and their infrastructure, your economic law, and if you have built fuel silos. This is a new building that will take up shared slots and will probably provide the majority of your stockpile space. Oh man, this is awesome. It is also a building that can be damaged from bombing. Man, that's awesome. Which will, in the worst case, will lead to a loss of fuel. Capitulating enemy neighbors is also It's also going to be a good way of acquiring more fuel, as it will work just like seizing their equipment stockpile in that respect. Fuel silo. Okay. Nice. Awesome. Hearts of Iron 3 also had stockpile fuel, but there is also quite a problem. As a beginner, you did not know how much, or even that you needed to stockpile, and as an experienced player, there was no issue in making a stockpile big enough that you wouldn't ever have to worry. In Hearts of Iron 4, we were aiming to force a trade-off between building up your industry and increasing the stockpile. Have to spend civilian factors to get more fuel from trade instead of building more factories, as well as trying to keep the total amount you can stockpile within reasonable bounds. Our goal is fuel as something you'll need to consider for all your operation, and playing it really safe will mean less industrial output in the long run. Interesting. Since I bet this will be the first question, fuel is going to be in the free update. That's awesome. But there will be, of course, features in the paid expansion that tie into it. Stay tuned for more dev diaries. We are still working on all things, so I'll wrap up here. Hopefully, it gave you an idea what have we done and what we're planning to do. I've saved some interface talks for future diaries, and also be aware that many things could end up changing based on the gameplay feedback. Rest assured, though, I'll keep you updated on stuff like that in these diaries up to release. There is not really anything out of the ordinary, but I usually keep systems like this that need long-term balance and iteration for later. Fuel, however, ties into a lot of future topics, so I want to make sure you are all clued in. Now, for something completely different, I assume nobody has managed to avoid having their mailbox filled up with fun privacy updates and things related to blah blah blah. During all this, a really smooth looking lawyer dog in our smart sluts came over us in Brussels. He told us there are a bunch of regulations we need to follow in our games, so to make sure we remain good boys in the eyes of the law, we have added a couple of things to Hearts of Iron 4. The most important is to include our privacy policies in the game and making it easy to find. Seriously? I have to deal with this in the game too. It's like every website and now the games. Uh, I'm not gonna go into this. Uh, yeah, must like I'll post the screenshot. You can read this. I'm not gonna go for this anyway. Privacy update, seriously. Anyway, whatever. I think this is awesome. I think this is gonna change the strategy of this game. You need fuel in the game because, like I was reiterating before, it is a defining factor in World War II. And to take it out is just like dumbing down the game to the point where it's like, seriously? I mean, it's going to be like closer to Axis and Allies versus, a Gronard kind of game, you know? And that's where I feel like Hearts of Iron went with, Hearts of Iron 4. Hearts of Iron 3 was closer to the Gronard standard and everybody loved it. But with Hearts of Iron 4, they went closer to, Axis and Allies kind of thing. I mean, we're not there yet. I mean, there's still a lot of depth to this game, but they appeal to the casual gamer, and unfortunately, people like me that grew up with Heart to Iron, as it got more complex, was just like, dude, this is awesome. This complexity just adds more definition, more depth to the game, and take it away, it's just like, yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm very stoked about this. This is awesome. I'm going in a heartbeat pick this game, this expansion pack up, just in a heartbeat. Like, no questions asked. Anyway, guys, that does it for this, and I will cover any future dev diaries here as they pop up. But this is an awesome one. I will catch you guys in the next one.